Let's move on to some of these other questions. Do casts go through an agency? So yeah, do you go through an agency specifically? Like, how do you?
You definitely can. So I had an agent at the time that I booked my Carnival job. However, I had already auditioned for them, hence the 2-year wait, before I acquired said agent. So I had a clause with my agent where the cruise ships that I had already auditioned for, who put me on their hire list, were my own work because I sought them out and got it myself. So he didn't have to take a cut of that, which worked out for me. But I do know, especially since being a cast manager, I do know a good handful of people who have been booked through an agency, and there are agents specific to dancers and singers and musicians who kind of just solely work with cruise ships, as I'm sure you know a lot about, because I know a lot of musicians who work through a third-party agent. Yep. However, the audition process, I think, is kind of 50-50 still with dancers and singers, where you can still go in live, and that's probably even a better bet, because I think they go off the reels or through an agency if they're kind of looking like, I need a male dancer for next month or whatever it might be, that they're not having a live audition in between now and then. So it's an option, but you do have to be prepared to give up 10-15% of your paycheck.
Right. And as far as that 10 to 15%, in my experience, in most cases, it's not like you personally have to write that check. You won't even see it. Now, in your initial contract that you sign with the agent, they'll put it in the contract, obviously, because you have to know how much they're taking. But all in the end, when you get your paycheck, you get what you get, and then the agent gets what they get. So usually,
and I have also seen a horror story of somebody I worked with in my first contract who ended up in a clause with their agent where he still got the same cut every contract after their first one because he got them the original audition. Whereas most other agents I know, they only took it from the first cruise contract. And if you then went back for another contract, you continued to get yourself the work because you proved yourself to get a second contract.
Interesting.
So it depends on the agent and what your contract is with them. If I had to pay out one contract, I guess I wouldn't be as upset. But if I'm working with a company, like Carnival offers a retirement package now. So if you stay for 10 years, if I'm working for a company for 10 years and I'm giving up 15% for 10 years, like, I'd be kind of annoyed. So well, just make sure you read the fine writing.
Yeah, no, that's a really great point because, well, for me, with my agent, that was what I had, right? Yeah. So having the agent essentially taking care of all of these things, he was taking 10% for every contract.
Yeah.
Now this, I mean, if you go in with that expectation and you're comfortable with it, then, that's one thing. But if you were expecting for it to only be for the first contract and then have the full pay, that's. And
I do know people who work with, I have a married couple who was just in my last contract, and they've worked with the same agent. They did a Regent contract, then they did our contract with Carnival, and then they won an NCL, and then they were going to come back to Carnival. So she's worth the 10% because they're doing their callback videos and they're great performers and they deserve to get these jobs, but they don't have to be seeking out and emailing and going to live auditions, and they're just kind of popping from contract to contract because of this agent. So it just depends on how you work too.